So I'll start with a brief introduction of all the different presentations we're going to do in this afternoon session. So I'll be talking about teaching staff and students' experiences of using the Right at Uni resource, particularly with an engineering stage 1 course. Sharing Your Path will focus on the academic skills support students receive in the business school and their experiences using online writing tools to support their writing. Rosemary Bette will talk about what art staff consider good writing and also the content of workshops to assist History BA honors students with their dissertations. And finally, Anush Bhargava will share his clear fellowship journey of collaboration and creation of a literature review web tool for a medical and health science course. So I'm just going to get started with my presentation. So I would like to invite you first to think back to a time when you were a first-year student, either as an undergrad or a postgrad, and take 1 minute to discuss the following question with the person who's sitting right next to you. So what advice would you give your first-year student self on developing as an academic writer? Please, I'll just invite you to take 1 minute to do this. Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay. So now what I would like to do is just invite one person from the audience to briefly share with us some of the things that you discussed. Would anyone like to share? Yeah, thank you, Susan.
Trust yourself.
Yes? Good. Anyone else? Thank you.
I'd want to be more playful about the way I read and wrote.
All right. Okay, thank you. So I'd like you to hold on to those ideas and thoughts that you share in your discussion, because you might be able to relate to some of the findings that I found that I got from my fellowship project. So the background to the project: this all started in 2014 when the University of Auckland proposed several working groups to look at various issues relating to teaching and learning. And one of these issues was writing a stage 1 level. So at the time, Libraries and Learning Services put together a proposal and recommended the creation of an online resource that will be available to all students coming into university, particularly stage 1. So that's how we set on our journey to develop the Right at Uni resource. So here you can see a slide from the resource. So this resource has 5 different modules, but it basically focuses on helping students become aware of some of the expectations that they are likely to encounter as they progress through their studies. So there are some elements about critical thinking, reading, and writing as well. Now, we know that academic writing takes place within the discipline, and Rosemary will talk to you more about that later. So this is not a how-to-write resource, and it was never our intention. So what we seek to do is promote student engagement, reflection, and awareness. So the tool was released in semester 1, and so it was our opportunity to conduct a pilot study to see how students would use the tool and what they would do with it and what the perceptions would be of the relevance of the content. And so this also marked the beginning of my fellowship year. I had 3 specific aims. So I wanted to know how staff would integrate or use the tool in their stage 1 courses. Also, what were students' beliefs and expectations of university writing, especially as they were first-year students in the first few weeks of the semester. And lastly, how they used the tool and what the perceptions of this tool were. So these were my 3 main aims, and I did this by using a number of methods. So I looked at how the tool was used in Canvas, because I was part of the integrating the tool into the course, but because the tool was designed in Course Builder, I also looked at Course Builder data to get a sense of students' engagement or interaction with the tool. I also conducted interviews with teaching staff and did focus groups with students. So there were 4 courses participating in my study in the pilot, and these courses were from the Faculty of Science, Engineering, and Arts. But today I will share with you the findings from one specific course, that of the Faculty of Engineering. And I'll also spend more time discussing my first aim, how staff integrated the tool into their courses, and what the results of this experimentation process were. The case. So this is a stage 1 Gen course with more than 900 students. And students were introduced to report writing. So there were some aspects of academic writing that teaching staff wanted to introduce their students to. So one of them was the structure. They knew that some of these students had written essays before in high school, but for some of them, writing a report was new. So they knew that in this course, there was an opportunity to introduce the students to report writing, to this genre. There were also aspects related to style, language, referencing, and stance. And I would like to stop for a moment and talk about language. And language was very important for teaching staff in this course, because between 10 and 50% of the cohort were students who speak English as an additional language. So helping these students get their ideas across was important. The rationale, why using this tool? Because this is a generic resource. This is additional and supporting material they will try to integrate into the everyday teaching. So there were a number of reasons. First, they saw in the tool they saw in Write at Uni a tool that could be used as a point of reference for first-year students that will hopefully help them ease into university study. Being an online resource, they thought, well, students could access this anytime and anywhere, and they can also receive immediate feedback. So if they interact with some of the activities from the resource, which is very difficult with a 900 course, feedback is a problem. Sometimes, giving detailed feedback to students, that's something that the teaching staff find difficult at times. And also, what I found more interesting, because I come from libraries and learning services, so we had a central service unit, is that they thought that tool could also be used for teaching purposes. And this is what I really found of interest. Now, how did they use it? So there were a number of things. First step was exploring the tool and see what aspects of it could help them achieve some of the goals they had established for the course at the beginning of the semester. Then they went to the Canvas Commons, and because the tool is there, they just selected those specific sections or activities of the resource they thought would be beneficial. And they organized those into a module on their Canvas course. Students were referred to this module at the beginning of the semester, but also throughout the semester. And they also organized a writing tutorial, as part of the course. And the tool was used in this writing tutorial as well. And as you can see, students were also referred to specific sections of the resource, and this is a snippet from one of the lecture slides. And there's something interesting about this too. Now, the findings. This was exploratory study in nature, so I have very basic questions. And so one of the things that I wanted to know is, do they use them? Because we spent a lot of time and effort developing resources and materials for our students, but we sometimes don't have much time to find out where they actually use them, and if they use them with the same, if the way they use them match the original intentions we had for those resources and tools, and what they think of them, of if they are relevant or not. So in terms of use, I can say that yes, both teaching staff and students use the resource. And one of the ways I know this is by looking at learning analytics, and this is learner data from CourseBuilder. So we can see that there is an interesting spike in the number of page views, and these different spikes took place when the resource was actually being used by teaching staff. So it was in March when students were introduced to the tool. Then there was the writing tutorial in April, so there's a spike in usage after the writing tutorial took place, and then, not surprisingly, before the assignment was due. Now, did students and teaching staff use the tool more than once? And this is something that I also wanted to find out. And here is where my fellowship got quite interesting. So, teachers, yes. Students, they were very responsive. And I'm going to talk about this in more detail. So again, going back to learner data, we see that there is about 12% of returning students. So this means that 88% of students use the tool just once. Now, there's a caveat here, and it's important for me to say that this is only a subset of the data of a student population, because Course Builder will only allow you to capture data from those students who have logged on. So many others have, but I won't be able to capture, or I wasn't able to capture to know how many times they did it, or the frequency of use of the tool. Now, did they find the tool relevant? Yet again, there were varied responses, and I'll get into that in a minute. So I identified 2 factors seem to have had an impact on students' engagement with the tool and also their perceptions of it. One was the timing, so it was when, but also how often it was used, and the second one was the approach, so how it was used in relation to the demands of the assignment. So in terms of the timing, so as I said, it was introduced early in the semester, but students didn't have much information about the assignment, so what were the responses? It's useful, but I just don't know what to do with this. How does this relate to my assignment? How can it help me complete my assignment? So it's not surprising. They will have those students who think, well, in fact, what I need to learn is referencing, because I haven't done referencing before. So that was a perceived learning need. And this resource does not emphasize referencing, because we have the academic integrity course. And then other students who were pretty confident, I said, well, I've done a lot of scientific writing before. So I did a lot of report when I was doing my high school. So basically, we have different degrees of perceived relevance. Those who thought it was beneficial, for some it was just not a priority at that stage in the semester. And then we had those who felt, well, basically, I just don't think I need it now. So that's not new to me. I didn't think that was new. But what's interesting, as one student put it, and the risk of this is that students sometimes, early in the semester and probably later too, they may not know what they need to know. And one student did say this. So I think that timing, when we decide to introduce and use additional resources and materials, is a key factor. And I thought that was useful. And the second one is how. How does it relate to the assignment? So the tool was using the tutorial, and the specific activities of the resource were used as part of the tutorial. Some students thought it was really useful, and it promoted engagement and interaction. And because of how it was used in the tutorial, they decided to explore other aspects of the resource after the tutorial had taken place. So I thought that was interesting to know. The students felt, I actually liked this tool, the ways it was used in the lecture and the tutorial. Now I'm going to go home and explore it further. For some others, it's, well, this is reinforcing knowledge that I already have, so it's knowing that I'm on the right track. But you could also argue, is this challenging enough? So maybe yes, maybe no. And then we have, yet again, students feeling, well, I probably would have liked to do something else, or even probably be somewhere else, And then, again, different responses, varied responses from the beneficial to the, this is all right or not what I need. What was interesting, is the discussion. Almost all students, even those who felt really confident, talked about the need for a writing exemplar. And what I did was I identified that as an indication of a need probably for more structure around assignments and scaffolding, because these are first-year students. So they all felt the need that I don't think we have clear instructions about how to cope with it, how to write this assignment, and that sometimes is overwhelming for students and can create anxiety. So what's next? So with this, I would like to commend the work of the teaching staff participated in this pilot, because they put a lot of effort and energy into using and exploring with this tool. And so what we're going to do for next year is to do a take 2, and we are with a group of people from the library devising that strategy that will be more of a just-in-time or a point-of-need strategy to the use of library resources. And we're going to collect some information and see if there's any significant difference to the findings that I observed this year in my fellowship. So with this, I'd like to thank you. Thank you for your attention and all of this.